Good morning. I want to share today from Psalm 27, 13 and 14. It says, I would have despaired unless I had believed that I would see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and let your heart take courage. Yes, wait for the Lord. As I first read this verse, I saw about, I would have despaired if I hadn't known, or like sometimes you just know that God's going to answer and all you have to do is wait. But I know that waiting is not easy. We want things immediately. But I thought of a seed, and a seed doesn't sprout the second you plant it or the second you water it. It takes time. But if you wait, you'll get something beautiful. Or you'll get your food, the crop that, tomatoes or whatever. You get a reward for waiting. A child, the second it's born, doesn't come out walking and talking and being independent. It takes time, and you work with that child and watch it grow, and, it is so rewarding. Well, the same is true in life. Sometimes we need to wait, and sometimes we don't know what God is doing. We've lived in this house for over 20 years, and we had issues for close to 15 of those years with our one neighbor. And it would get really bad at times, and to the point where I would be scared of what was going to happen. We wanted to move, but God didn't open the doors. We didn't have the money, and, we would pray about it and knew that He could do it, but God wanted us here, and we have seen what waiting and being patient and trusting Him would do. I'll tell you one story that my husband had gone to pick up our daughter. This was when she was in kindergarten and was in the public school system at the time. And he had left to go get her, and our neighbor got in his car and sped through a field and cut my husband off. And my husband stopped and, kind of was like, what is going on? And I was seeing this from the house because it was not far from the house. It was just down the road. And I kind of started to pray, Lord, to protect my husband. I don't know what's going to happen. And I saw our neighbor get out of the car and was yelling at my husband. And my husband stayed in the car. And finally, I just saw him move around and continue down the road. And later we found out he had gone to the police and tried to say that my husband almost hit him. And, we were like, there was no ice on the road at this point. And my husband was very careful as he went around him. As soon as my husband had come home, I had asked him what was going on. And he kind of shook his head and said he yelled at me to get out of the car. And I told him, no, I'm not going to get out of the car. I'm not going to fight you, So I was proud of my husband for just staying calm in that situation and knowing that this wasn't going to solve anything. Years after that happened, again, this was probably 13, 14 years of this constant tension with our neighbor and trials and things that would happen. But I was home. The kids, I guess, were upstairs. My husband, I think, was at work. I just remember being the only one downstairs, and I could hear some yelling. And at first ignored it because I had the air conditioner on and I couldn't really hear what was being said, and know that a lot of times we have neighbors on both sides. But we're kind of used to some hollering. And then I realized, no, something's wrong. And so I went and I went to the door where I could tell it was coming from and opened the door and said, do you need help? And our neighbor turned and just gave me this look. And another neighbor had already gotten there first and said, no, we're okay. We got it. And I closed the door and I thought, was he mad at me because I asked for if they needed help? And I later realized it was him being so surprised that for years of him doing things to try and get us mad at him or to be mean, that I was asking if they needed help. And the next day, we were coming home from church and he was on the phone and I was like, I want to make sure that everything's okay. And the neighbor just kind of put his one finger up to say, wait. And he thanked us. And I just said, I hope you know, it doesn't matter what has happened in the past. If you need help, we're here. And that was a turning point. And we now talk to them and, he's, very kind to us and, doesn't have an issue of asking how we're doing or when we ask him. And it's just been a total turnaround from the years leading up to that. To know that my husband, stops at work and is, hey, how you doing? And they'll stand out there and chat. And I'm like, Lord, I never would have believed that this is possible. But we can definitely see that the Lord was telling us, wait and see what I can do. His plan is always far greater than anything we can imagine. So whatever you're dealing with, if you've been praying for something and God doesn't seem to be answering, wait for his timing. He's going to do something, miraculous. And there are times, yes, sometimes his answer is no. Like for us, it seemed like he was saying, no, you're not going to move. I have a reason. I have a plan. And it took almost 15 years for us to see that plan. But I am so thankful that we didn't disobey and just decide to move even though we didn't have the money to do it. We could have, taken another loan and moved. But we just kind of knew God wants us here for a reason. And I don't know what it is, but I have seen, a lot of change and things that I would not have seen had I moved. So I am just so thankful. And I want to encourage you, wait on the Lord's timing and take courage because he will answer. Have a great day.